Hello and welcome to the Holiday Park People podcast. My name's Matt and this is Stacey.
And we're the Holiday Park People. Our podcast is the Holiday Park sector's first podcast in which we talk about all things Holiday Park related, and we also share our story as our journey as a startup in the Holiday Park sector. So we are back after what has been a really, really busy peak season. We've had loads going on in the business, which we'll talk about. And I think, gosh, there's just been loads going on in the sector generally, hasn't there?
There has, yeah. Yeah, it's been, and as you say, it's been a really busy period, not just for our partners, but for us as well. Hasn't it? And, you know, there's been some great performances out there and some great things happen, but there's also been some bumps in the road, hasn't there?
Yeah, there really has. And I think, you know, we were, as we do with everything, we were, you know, really, I suppose, full of optimism that we might have been able to podcast a bit more and over the summer period.
Not for lack of trying.
No, it isn't. And, you know, we've had, I think, you know, for us, the purpose of this podcast was to always be true to ourselves, to be genuine, and that's meant there's been, you know, some episodes that we've recorded that with guests that we haven't been able to put out because things have come up in their business, and you know, so we've had to sort of change our schedule a little bit in that respect. But also, we wanted to make sure that when we do put content out, it's content that we're proud of, but also being sort of sensitive, I think, to what's been going on in the market and making sure that we're posting the right content at the right time. So, yeah, there's been a bit of chop and change, but we're back. Yeah, there's been loads happening, so there's lots for us to tell you about. I think we've had some changes in our team.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Yeah.
Which there's been a few changes in our team throughout the last couple of months. So there's been a bit of a adjustment to make in that respect. And God, I'm sure, you know, most of the operators out there will understand the challenges of team changes in peak periods much more than we felt over the last couple of months.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a complex industry. It's quite demanding, and you know, and it's for some people and not others, right? And that's okay. You know, that's okay. And you know, but as you say, we're through that period of adjustment, and you know, I think given all of that's gone on, we've coped really well, and you know, our team. I mean, we're only talking about a couple of individuals here, you know, but you know, generally our team has rode that wave of peak, and as have we, and you know, I think it's been on the whole a really good period, and you know, but as I say, hasn't come without its bumps in the road, and whether that's us as a business or whether it's the partners that we support, you know. But it wouldn't be peak if that wasn't the case, right? I mean, it's everything's magnified, everything's, you know, everything's really important, but most importantly, everything's really time sensitive. So, you know, and we get that more than most, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And I think it's been it's been like turbulent in some respects, isn't it? Like peak season, but then in others, it's been really positive. And I think not only for the businesses that we work with, so not only for our business, not only for the businesses that we work with, but I think for everyone that we've spoken to, there's been lots of regional variances. I think, you know, general sort of trading and performance has been quite up and down, you know, one week to the next. And, you know, we've noticed that, and we hear that from a lot of the other people that we're talking to. So I don't think that, you know, anything that we've experienced throughout peak is not being felt elsewhere. I don't think we've experienced anything that's out of the norm.
Of, you know, lots of peak periods as operators, haven't we? And it's not felt, you know, in any shape or form, you know, much different to many. And you know, don't get me wrong, it's that with the backdrop of everything else that's going on in terms of, you know, the current climate, etc. But you know, for the most part, I think it's been good, and for some it's been exceptionally good. And you know, I think I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
no,
I
it
always
has
do.
been
You know,
good.
I
It
always
has
do.
been good, and because I think, you know, the years, because the last time we sort of put an episode out was before the summer, wasn't it? So I think the year started off really well, and I think everyone was feeling quite optimistic, weren't they? There seemed
Q1,
to be
yeah.
like you know, just this sort of optimism that this year felt like it was going to be quite good, and so quarter one I think was really strong, and then quarter two was a little bit more up and down, like throughout the spring and into May and June was a little bit up and down, wasn't it? And I think on the most part,
I think June was quite a tough month.
it
Wasn't
was
it?
a
Yeah, it
hit.
was
And
quite a tough
I
month.
think a lot of most operators, and I think, you know, some of the industry's booking agents have reported this. It feels like most businesses in most regions have had a strong year for holidays.
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely feels that it's been much more positive, and I suppose the weather will have played. You know,
great though, hasn't it?
not that I want to bang. I feel like I'll bang on about the weather every single time we speak, but and we've broken the podcast curse because all the other times we've been recording, it's been blazing sunshine. But yeah, we're back to normal Lancashire weather now. But the weather has been really good, isn't it, compared to last year? Because it was so wet.
And sustained. You know, which I think has particularly helped with holidays, with people, you know, having a level of confidence that they might not ordinarily have to sort of plan something, you know, a UK break and be guaranteed or near as guaranteed as you can get in this country some decent weather. And I think that's really supported bookings. And as you said, though, I think, you know, of all the partners, but also even if they're not our partners, the people we've spoken to, the general sense or feeling is, from a holidays perspective at least, it's been a pretty good year. It's, you know, I'm sure they'd all like a bit more tariff, and they'd all like a few more bookings. But you know, on the whole, it's been a stronger year than last year. I think.
Yeah, at all ends of the market, it has been a little bit up and down, and you know, there's been some real success. And gosh, you know, we've seen some real success with some of the partners that we work with in recent weeks. But when we look at the sort of all the leading indicators around, you know, search volume and, you know, inquiry levels and engagement with marketing activity and stuff, it has been, you know, at times quite erratic, isn't it? Throughout the summer.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were just looking at, you know, and right across the board, there was no, you know, operator that didn't feel a bit of this. It was just everything just seemed to drop off the cliff for a week. Didn't it?
There was
You know,
one. There was that one
yeah.
really weird week in August, wasn't there? Where it was just we've seen it across everything. Where, but then again, you know, it was a week where we had blazing sunshine, didn't we? So maybe that played a part in that. But yeah, so we're through it now. You're all through it now, hopefully in one piece. And yeah, we can start looking forward to the autumn. We've both had a break.
Yeah. Some of us have had a couple.
Which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, nice.
And you know, I think since we've started this business and last year, we've not had a right lot of time off, have we?
No, we haven't. No.
And so it was nice for us both to have a break and you know, spend some time with our families and just chill out. Well, I mean, my holiday would have been much more relaxing than yours, but it's it was nice to just sort of have a break and not completely switch off, because I think this is one of the differences, isn't it, when I think you own your own business, is I didn't feel like, I'm not very good at switching off anyway.
No.
But I didn't feel that I wanted to. You know what? Like, I quite enjoyed getting up in the morning. You know, at that 5 o'clock. You know, just get up and sit on the balcony and have a coffee and do a few emails and, you know, catch up on what had been happening, and then that was me. Then I could go and enjoy the rest of my day, and I didn't have to think about it. And I quite enjoyed that. Like, it did feel really balanced. So I don't know if I always fully agree with people that say, you know, you need to, like, you know, totally remove yourself and switch
I think that's
off.
the point, isn't it? When switching off means that you feel content enough and that everything is in hand that you can then switch off. I mean, I think in the sales space, and I'm not saying it's any worse or any better than any other space, but I don't think it's, especially if you're leading big teams in the sales space, even back to the sales director days or previous to that, I never really switched off.
No.
Because the other side of it is, if you, let's say you go for a week, you get a few days in, and then you're only a few days from being a few days away from going back, and you don't want to walk back into a poor performance. So there is some merit in sort of keeping it going, but it's horses for courses, right?
Yeah,
Some people are able to just adjust and switch off really quickly. For me, it takes me a few days to just wind down a little bit. And then probably a day or two before I'm due to go home, I start winding back up again a bit prematurely. But as I say, it's horses for courses. I mean, for me, it's never done me any harm, and I like to feel like I've got my finger on the pulse, and when I get back, I can hit the ground running. But as I say, horses for courses.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been an exciting summer for some of our partners as well. Ohana opened their first park, didn't they? Which is just really exciting to see that. So huge congratulations to the team there, because we've seen firsthand, haven't we, the amount of work and effort that's gone, an investment that's gone into that location. So we were absolutely buzzing for them, weren't we, when they opened their first park. So
and what a park it is as well. I mean, it's stunning, and the future plans for that place is just incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So, so that was
me
really
in
nice.
so many ways. Not that them as individuals, because they're all fantastic and highly skilled people, but I think that just the level of development that they achieve with things like the existing units that were on there, and like when we walked into them after, I remember when we first walked into them and we were like, there's a job of work here. And me with my sort of bullish brain was just knock them all down. And is that again? But wow, I mean, they are outstanding now.
It's incredible.
Just unbelievable. And credit to the team there that in terms of what they've done with the park and the accommodation. I mean, it really is something special, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd said in our previous episode, didn't we, that we were trying some new sort of campaign ideas and some new stuff for summer, and it was really lovely because I think most of our partners really embraced some of the ideas and the concepts and stuff that we'd come up with. And it was just ace to see some of that really play out, wasn't it? It was really good to just, to have that level of trust from them and, to do things a little bit differently. And yeah, we've seen some fantastic results. So,
we did.
So that was really, and not everything worked. Well, not everything does work. We wouldn't be here if it was that simple.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, and that's the point, right? I mean, there were some things that took off and and did really well. There were other things we had to adjust and adapt quite quickly, but that's the beauty of the business. I think we've got now 1 year in, is we're just quite dynamic and able to move at pace, aren't we, in terms of and because of the level of data we look at on a daily basis, it's just it's glaringly obvious when something needs to change, isn't it?
Yeah, but so I think for anyone out there, that we wouldn't sit here and say it's easy and it's
all sunshine and rainbows.
Because it's not, and and we'd be dead honest about that. And if there will be probably businesses out there that have felt some of the same. It's not all doom and gloom, definitely not. But it's been challenging at times. And that point around data is an interesting one, isn't it? Because we've been talking about this, so it would be really interesting to hear what you, if you're watching or listening, think as well. Because this came about from, it was a conversation we had at a BH&HPA meeting, wasn't it? Around the lack of data in our industry generally. So I think, obviously every business works in isolation, and I think there's varying degrees of data captured on an individual business basis.
Yeah.
But one thing that our sector really lacks is sort of general sector or industry data. You know, I mean, some of
Enough data that will give you any confidence in a sentiment that is more broader than just any one business.
Correct, yeah. So we were thinking, well, what if we could help with that? So we've put together. Matt and I have been sort of working on a bit of a survey that would enable us to capture data focused around sentiment. Now, we would never ask for anything business sensitive because, well, it's none of our business. And we understand that people wouldn't want to share anything like that. But I think it's more just around sort of, general feel and trends. And so I think if there are operators or, individuals within businesses that would be interested in participating, then we'd be willing to capture the data, analyse it, summarise it, and then share it with everyone. And I think it would just give, not only park operators, but industry suppliers just a bit of a sort of balanced view of the world. So we'll stick something on LinkedIn about this, but if you'd be interested in participating, then let us know, because it could be something quite cool. Because I think generally we are a really supportive industry, aren't we? Yeah. But I think there is a general lack of data out there, and we have access to quite a lot. But it would be nice for us to be able to put something together and share it, because sentiment does inform decision making, and it's difficult to know. I think sometimes businesses can just get caught in this echo chamber, can't they? Of, or one business can talk to another and they can tell them the same thing. And then so suddenly that starts to become your narrative then, because it's what you're seeing and feeling. But
well, it also could potentially means the consequence of all that is, if you are stuck in an echo chamber that potentially isn't that positive, is that you stop then putting your focus in areas where you think there could be a positive outcome or increased performance, because, you just maybe think that we just got to make the best of what we got. Yeah. Whereas, we've got partners and we've seen examples of, people not conforming to that, the sentiment, or, generally speak to, positive competitors in some case. Yeah. And I think that's where, I think for us, when we're looking at data and we're trying to gather sentiment, even when we go to the point of onboarding new clients and everything else, we try and be the antidote to the echo chamber, And
I think it's easy for us to be objective, though, isn't it? And,
it is.
And I guess we don't necessarily feel the stresses.
Sean Connery.
We don't necessarily feel the stresses of operating a business and everything that comes with that, particularly when it feels like perhaps the business isn't performing in line with expectations. So we'll see. Like I say, we'd need a decent sample size, because otherwise it's pointless, isn't it? But so if there's people up for that, then we'll stick something on LinkedIn and we'll see where we get to with it, and maybe it's something that we could do, once a quarter, or it could be quite cool. I don't know. It was just a thought. So we'll see what happens. If we get enough people willing to participate, then it's something we're happy to do. So we'll see what happens with that, and then some new clients.
Yeah.
So we started working with Goosnell Lodge Park, which is just
great bunch of guys, aren't they?
Just fantastic business again. Brilliant people, really, really lovely people. It's local, which is just
nice. I think
nice,
we're on
isn't
record
it?
From a previous podcast saying we haven't got anyone local. We've got everyone from St Andrews down to Cornwall and everything in between, but nothing quite local.
Yeah, it's so lovely. They're just around the corner, so
it's handy.
It's
I pass them on my commute.
It's absolutely yes, and just again like another really, really beautiful park, isn't it? Yeah, it's just the most gorgeous spot, and again, another business that is really committed to very high standards.
Extremely high standards. I mean, that's the thing about them is that, they it's not just words, is it?
No.
You can see it through not just their actions, but how they have laid out the park, and and I think it's going to be a really successful park.
And some of the lodges
Oh,
on
don't get
that
me started.
park.
I mean, some are new to me and new to you, aren't they? But oh my word, yeah, there's some gorgeous
It's
stuff
just,
on there.
and like I feel like we could get stuck on repeat a bit when we talk about stuff like this, but I just honestly think like manufacturers' ability to innovate is quite extraordinary, isn't it? Because
It is when you consider they've only got a finite amount of space to play with.
yeah,
You know,
you need a living room, you need a kitchen, you need a bedroom,
there's
etc.,
some
etc.
things you have to have.
Uh-huh.
You know, and yet, you know, some of the evidence that you've seen on within their stock is just outstanding. I mean, even I'm blown away by it, and I've seen a lot of holiday homes, and also, I guess the bit that you know is really great is the stock's not just great, but they're seeing it move on into you know and welcoming new owners as a consequence of going to that level of investment to bring in some of the best stock available in the industry. That then is actually moving for them, and I think
It's a
fantastic.
beautiful park. So we're absolutely thrilled to be working with the team there. They're such a fantastic business and such a great bunch of people. So that's really nice. And Shorewood Leisure Group. Again, just another. Well, I mean, we've spoken about Shorewood's parks before, and you know we've been in contact with them for quite a long time, haven't we?
We did some training with them first, didn't we? We did some park exchange training with them. When was that?
Oh gosh.
Was it back end of last year?
Yeah, back last year.
So we did some part exchange training with them, and you know we hit it off there, and we just you know it didn't happen overnight, but you know we're now fully supporting them with holiday home sales and you know supporting their team and the development of them, including implementing new tools for Shorewood and new ways of marketing, and you know but they're also just really great people to work with. I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record every time we talk about one of our partners, but that always comes back to the good fit stuff, right? I mean, you know, we only work with people that are a good fit, and you know, so if any of you out there thinking, well, he always says they're really good people, but that's because we choose wisely, right? And you know, we only work with good people, and they are truly are good people. You know?
And you know you've again, Matt, spoken about their parks at length, and the fact that I think it's a Matthew Myler quote now that you know you can tell you're on a Shorewood Leisure Group park when you get on a Shorewood Leisure Group park.
You can though, can't you? You can.
Yeah, no, the standards that team
standards are epic
achieve, and the sales team are fantastic, aren't they? And it's just a really brilliant business. So we're really we're buzzing to be working with that team because. It's great, and the parks are just, I mean, they're really special, aren't they? Really special. Really so we've had all that going on, and it's just been a busy time, isn't it? And I think you know for our business as well, I think we've mentioned it in our last episode, but. We kind of just took a minute, didn't we, to sort of regroup and you know figure out what direction we wanted to take our business in, and I think we've kind of just enjoyed sort of slowing things down a little bit, haven't we? And just you know, and I think throughout peak, because there has been times where it's been a little bit up and down. You know, we've really had our heads down, haven't we? Me, you, our team, and you know, our focus has solely been on our existing clients, hasn't it? And you know, we've had to
firmly evidenced by the fact that we haven't done a podcast.
Well, quite.
There was just no time. Right?
Yeah, quite. And I think you know, I guess we've been probably a little bit quieter on you know our own social media pages and all of that. And but that's you know, and that's because our focus is firmly been on our clients and just you know making the very most of the peak period. So. But it definitely feels like now we're through that and things feel a little bit more sort of settled.
Are you going to use the word settled? No, they don't. No, in fairness, they do feel more settled, and you know, like you said, I think we have just taking a minute, right? And you know, because things were, you know, we grew really quickly, and that brought about a lot of challenges, you know, and I personally, for how long we've been going and for where we're at right now, I'm really proud of what we've achieved.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the one thing, we've stuck to many of the things that we said we would do. In fact, all of them. And one of those things is, you know, just making sure whatever we write down, as in terms of what does a partnership look like between us and our partners, we've delivered on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that is our first priority.
Yeah,
And it always
yeah,
has
of
been
course.
and
Well, it
always will
has
be,
to
you
be.
know?
Of course, it has to be. And there's been a bit of, I guess, the negative noise continues for the sector, and so yeah,
Another series, another TV series.
we're all, you know, we're all gonna deal with that as it arises and sort of continues throughout the coming months. And we had a great chat with the BH and HPA about that.
We did
last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
Thanks to
and
them
you
for
know,
reaching out.
the team and the team there are they're doing a lot, actually, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think perhaps maybe unfairly there's been some, you know, I think on occasion there could be a feeling that not enough is being done, but I think we'd actually quite strongly disagree with that,
Definitely
wouldn't we?
now, I
Now
think-
that we've got, I think
Yeah,
when you know when you
definitely now.
speak to the team there, and that, you know, there is a huge amount of work going on
And they care.
behind the scenes, you know,
Yeah.
and they really do care. There's a huge amount of work that's taken place to try and provide balance, because, you know, it's not about, you know, it's not necessarily about challenge or, you know, disagreeing.
No.
It's about providing balance. So I think, you know, and yeah, we look forward to working with them a bit more on that. And because I think, you know, as a sector, and if we talk about, you know, being a supportive sector, I think, you know, we've all got a part to play, and we can all make a difference in, you know, sort of sharing balanced and positive stories about the sector and the impact that it has. And I think the BH and HPA's, you know, Parks Makes Places campaign is a testament to that, really. And, you know, you look at all the case studies that they've got and all the incredible things that parks all around the country are doing, and so we just need a bit more of that, I think.
I think it's not like you need to go looking for it.
Exactly.
It's just putting it above the line, because, you know, there's as we all know, there's thousands and thousands of happy people out there that own holiday homes and have done for many years, and so in some cases generationally have owned holiday homes. And I think we just need to collectively, as one industry, raise those stories above the line a little bit, because it is about that balance. And right now it feels like the balance is very heavily tilted towards, you know, the stories that, rightly or wrongly, you know, it's not for us to get involved in those specific circumstances, but, you know, it does feel like it's becoming the only noise that is available to the general public at the moment.
Yeah, but it is, you know, and it undoubtedly has an impact, you know, and I think we get that. I think, you know, and everyone gets it, and you know, it is definitely having an impact, I think. So we'll see where we get to with that, but yeah,
more to come on that, I think.
there is definitely more to come on that in the next couple of months, and then now I love autumn. Do you?
I do like autumn. Yeah. It's, no, I do. No,
yeah, I like autumn. Yeah.
I like autumn because it's, you know, in the operating space, it's where you really start to, I suppose, look to the end of the year and closing the year out strong from a performance perspective. And, you know, it's where, you know, people also can start looking a bit further beyond autumn.
Well, we've started having conversations about 26, haven't we? Which is cool.
But none of that is possible while everything you've got and all the team you've got has so focused on peak.
Yeah.
There is no headspace for anything else, as we found out even in this space. You know, that transition from being an operator, there was no space in your head for anything other than, you know, leading your function through the tough times and hopefully onto some success. You know, it's only now you get to really just have a minute, you know, start strategizing in terms of what does the balance of the year look like. In the holiday home space, that would be, you know, looking at things like part exchange campaigns and, you know, I think the benefit of using us, I think, for these operators is, you know, the minute peak was over, we were able to put...
It was already deployed,
it was already ready,
yeah.
and, you know, that we provided in some cases 2 or 3 options, and, you know, so the fact that, you know, some of them campaigns have already gone live and more will go live over the next week or 2, I think is true testament to the fact that when you work with the holiday park people, you know, it's not, you don't need to ask for stuff. It'll just be happening in the background, and when the time's right, we'll put it under your nose, and, you know, you can pick from several options if that's what you want to do, or we can, you know, go with the one that we think is going to have the most success. You know?
Yeah, it's been really nice working on the autumn. Cause, I guess I got a bit more hands-on, didn't I, with some of the autumn campaigns, and it's I really enjoyed it actually. It was really nice working with the team, and we came up with some really cool.
Got some crackers out there.
Yeah, it was really nice, really good fun. Yeah, and I think as well, you know, if we think back to our experience as operators, September and October can be really strong months, can't they?
Yeah, you can.
And, you know, I think there's times where we've seen really good weather in the autumn, and so that helps. And I think as well, there's a section of our sort of core customer base for both holidays and holiday home sales that they can go a bit quiet during peak, can't they? And you know, tourism hotspots seem too busy, and you know, they get distracted because they're looking after grandchildren. Or so yeah, I think that, you know, and we've actually sort of seen some indicators of that in the last week or so, haven't we?
Already, yeah.
So I don't know. I do really like the autumn. There's loads going on for the sector in September, isn't there? And there are a lot of shows, aren't there?
There is in the autumn generally, though, isn't there? There's quite a lot going on.
So there's loads of shows taking place. Obviously, all of the manufacturers have had their sort of module previews, and you know, there's been a bit of activity going on through July and August, hasn't there? And you know, there's sort of model launches, and you know, we've been fortunate enough to see some of Carnaby's models for 26, and they're fantastic, aren't they? I mean, you know, we love the Carnaby product, but there's the team there are really great, and there's so they've got some exciting stuff coming.
I mean, jokes. You know, they have got some great models, and you know, the thing that, you know, back in the days as an operator, you know, I think I used to ask this of Sandra every time I met her. I used to say, why can't you just build a 14-foot? You know, and I know, and I think she must have told me that story 10 times as to the reasons why, and it was all, you know, factory conditions led. You know, and it's really great that I'm not claiming I'm not claiming that they did this for my benefit or anything, but you know, clearly there were other people that played a part in this. But you know, the fact that they're now building 14 foots and they've got some cracking models, and you know, the Melrose is really nice as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I think they're set for a really great year.
Yeah.
You know, they've got some really great stuff to show.
Yeah,
it's really good.
So yeah, there are, and I think I genuinely, I watched I think it was David Hall that had put a post out on from Beverley about just about, you know, going to support the manufacturers and, you know, urging people to, you know, there's the show at Cottingham, and I think so. Yeah, I really do hope that the manufacturers get get lots of support.
Yeah, so do I.
Throughout.
I will say this though.
I
will say this though, and I'm going to get my high horse here a little bit. You know, previews. Wrong time of year. Don't do it in peak. Do it in September. You know, I mean, jokes aside, I mean, you know, as an operator, you know, I was always really, truly, and only focused on results and supporting the big teams that I led. But, you know, just a thought. You know, maybe do it in September when all that madness is over with. But you know, anyway, what do I know? But there's also some shows going on, isn't there? You got Cottingham.
Yeah.
You got Haydock.
Yeah.
You know, so still some shows happening, and you know, I think we'll be going to the Haydock show, won't we?
Yeah, we will. So yeah, there's loads of shows taking place in September. So we'll get to as many of those as we can. And there's a new show in October, isn't there, in Aberdeen?
Yeah.
So that's the Getaway show. So we're going to be supporting that, which is going to be really cool. And
I look forward to that one.
yeah, they've very kindly invited us along to talk and talk about us.
Hope you talk.
To talk about our sector and benefits of owning a holiday home, and so I'm really looking forward to it. It'd be really nice, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see sort of new lifestyle, supportive events that are supportive of our industry. So that'll be cool. So and then there's the Scottish BH&HPA conference in November, which we're attending and sponsoring.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool this year. So there's loads going on in the next few weeks, just on a general sector basis, and and I guess everyone will be starting to sort of plan ahead for the autumn and the winter months, and if there's anyone that hasn't planned anything yet and needs any support, then give us a shout. But yeah, we're sort of really prepared for autumn, actually, haven't we? We're in great shape.
Why do you sound so surprised about that?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised.
Came across as surprised.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. We're in really good shape for our partners, and again, it's just like I said, it's just about. It's another consequence of us just really having our heads down throughout peak, and not only because we were really prepared for summer, but I think we had to react to a lot, and that's always, it's the nature of the beast in our sector, isn't it? Is sometimes things can go to plan and it's great, and then there'll be times where things don't, and you have no choice but to react. So I guess we made sure we had the ability to react where we were needed, but also then we were, like you say, to take any weight off, we were getting ourselves really prepared for autumn, so that as soon as we came out of peak, autumn was done and dusted, and we were good to go.
That's the benefit, isn't it, of working with us? The level of planning and detail we go to, means that we are still available to react, because everything else that's been prepared is in motion, and it just enables us to react to market conditions if they change, or needs and a request from our partners. With some of our clients, we're starting to plan 26, which is just like, it's absolutely mental, isn't it? This year is just. Do you think this is the thing? Like, do you think it's an old person thing? And you say, God, hasn't this year gone fast? Hasn't this? Like, I feel like it's an industry
when
thing.
I say it, like, I feel like such an old woman when I'm like, God, it's 1 week to the next. And like, it's just, I think with the industry as well, you're always looking forward, aren't you? You're never really focusing on the time that you're in. You're always looking forward. So in March, we were looking at July, and in July we're looking at September, October, and
before you know
it's on you, So,
but I think that beyond autumn into winter and preparing for 2026, this is where I think we come into our own a little bit, because we aren't one of them. We work with so many operators now that throughout the course of this winter and autumn and back end of autumn, we'll be looking to build, budgets and that feel right based on data, and we always call it a bottom up build of in the caravan sales space. When we do a bottom up build, it incorporates this year's and previous year's data, and ultimately that's all aimed at trying to bring your team along on the journey of building a budget, because gone are the days where for me, you can just say to a team, you know, we did this year, let's chuck 5% on it, or let's just chuck that on it, or, you know, with no real substance in terms of, or understanding as to how do we all get there. And, you know, what we always know is it's not, you know, for you know, things move, and just because you had a great year this year on one particular park doesn't mean it's not a given that you're going to have the same next year.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've got to get into the detail a little bit, because, you know, I think, you know, especially when you're talking volumes of caravan sales deals, you know, if you haven't got the bases, or
Yeah, exactly.
you know, you leave it, you don't have the confidence in your lever rate to drive the volume of empty bases required, which then means that it's going to make it pretty challenging unless you've got a new development to do those numbers. And, you know, as I say, I think, you know, this is where I think working with us, you know, is something that I've not seen, you know, I don't see enough in terms of, you know, really building a robust budget that takes you from you know, a position of, you know, what do we do this year and what do we believe is achievable next year.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and then that's much easier to bring your team on along with.
Well, also you then, because there's so many, like you say, that there are so many variables that differ by park, by each park. So I think, you know, you can't make sweeping assumptions, because
you see it.
You do. Yeah, sorry, you do see it happening, but it's not our approach. I don't mean to be critical of anyone else's approach, but it's.
I do. Don't do it.
But it's not. It's definitely not. It's not our approach. But I think when you've got, like you say, when you've got something that's built, informed by data, that's robust, the team are on board, it then becomes much easier to wrap a strategy around that, because everyone's clear on the objectives. So, you know, the business is clear on the objectives, as are we, our team, and, you know, we all know what we're trying to achieve, and then that informs activity then, doesn't it? Because it's really clear, and that, and then in our experience, and that, you know, that's the approach we take always, but in our experience, it's where you see the best results, and, you know, because, you know, everyone's eyes is on, you know, what needs to be achieved.
All your upper funnel activity is all aimed at driving the right volume of leads, and etc. And I just think the whole thing feels like it's connected, you know, whereas if somewhere in the middle or even not at all, there's no connection, or there's a disconnect, you know, that's when things can, you know, you either lose the dressing room in your team, or, you know, whether they tell you that or not, or, you know, you just don't quite get it right, and, you know, end up chasing your tail a little bit. And yeah, I think there's been examples this year which, you know, I think is, you know, without naming operators, where we did this exact exercise, right? And I remember even one operator saying, you know, that's never going to be achievable. You know, I don't really think we're going to get there because we haven't done those sorts of numbers in a few years. And lo and behold, where are we? Within a whisker of achieving that already. And, you know, for me, I think that's just testament to the process that we go through, and then making sure all of our activities support that result is aligned, you know.
Yeah. So the other thing we've got going on is, which again we've been working on throughout the last couple of months, is the launch of our network. Having both had long careers in this sector, I think we recognise and really value the strength of partnerships and relationships, don't we? And one of our ambitions was that, you know, we can create a network of suppliers in the industry that offer services that go, you know, way beyond the services that we can offer, and, you know, we create a network of the best in our opinion, so we're launching that imminently, and, you know, there's some fantastic businesses, isn't there, that, you know, are included within our network, and all people that we personally have a fantastic experience of working with, and, you know, what
there's nobody on there that we haven't worked with in the past,
or wouldn't happily
hasn't been
recommend
recommended by people that we trust.
So, and, you know, there's a real mix of businesses in there, from, you know, technology companies such as, you know, Elite Parks and Infinium and See It Now, to, you know, some fantastic manufacturers and, you know, different types of suppliers and, you know, in Leisure Days and, you know, Colliers and and so it'll be an evolving initiative, but it'll hopefully provide, you know, and I think especially for perhaps some of the smaller businesses and park operators that maybe don't necessarily have the benefit of, you know, some of the connections or introductions that some of the larger businesses naturally have. So it'll provide those people with, you know, some options and you know, some businesses that if you know, if you don't know who to turn to, that.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? You know, everybody on our network, and I think you know, the minute we started to talk to people about it, I think we were quite amazed by the response we'd had. And you talked earlier about it being a really supportive industry, and, you know, just the amount of suppliers that came forward really quickly and said, we'd love to be a part of that. And, you know, there is not a supplier on there that we don't put our name to.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
And I think that's the confidence hopefully it gives everybody out there, is that if you want to tap into that network, then that's great, because you know, we've got really positive experience of working with them all, and we stand by everybody that's on
and these are all businesses that we'll talk to
they'll be part of the podcast
and talk about, and again, it just gives a different perspective, and, you know, hopefully like some valuable insights and, you know, some advice, and so it'll be you know, it'll provide, if you are, you know, on our mailing list or follow our social media channels or, you know, follow our podcast, then there'll be some more sort of alternative subjects and stuff that we'll talk about, and some of our network will be supportive of that. So
and you'll get to hear from them directly,
correct,
instead through
of
our
us,
podcast and what have you. That, you know, some of the amazing services they have to offer, and, you know, how they can maybe potentially help you in the future.
But no, it's we've all made it through peak, and actually, you know, I think there is a lot of positivity out there still, you know, and we're very lucky that we get to work with the fantastic businesses that we do, and, you know, there are you know, people planning, investing, you know, there's acquisitions happening in the sector. There is a lot of positivity going on out there. You know, there is some optimism.
There is.
You know, there are still and people looking at the developments for next year and over the winter period, and so that's all dead cool. So there's lots for us to look forward to throughout the autumn and the winter, isn't there? And we'll be out and about a bit more, which is nice. So we'll get to see. Hopefully, we'll bump into some of you, some of the industry events that are taking place throughout the next month or two.
And if you can't wait for one of those events to bump into us, and you want to give us a call, ask us about anything on this podcast or anything else that you might be struggling with, please reach out to us.
Yeah, sure. And like I say, we'll bob a post out about the survey thing, and it'd be good to have your feedback, good or bad. You know, we'd just be interested to see, and also, you know, if you've got anything to share about peak, you know, if anything's happened in your business that you want to talk to us about, or, you know, share with our wider network, or if there's, you know, anything extraordinary that you've seen, or then it'd be really cool to hear from you. So as always, you can get in touch with us. Do you know, we're never going to be able to do this in the podcast without this happening. Our email address, I think I'm just going to have to get it on the screen. Our email address is hey, HEY, @holidayparkpeople.co.uk, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.